I can record it if you allow me. Oh, but you are recording now.
I'm
Perfect.
already recording.
Uh, then you can send us the link and we can upload it. We
Oh,
usually download it from the Zoom and upload it to YouTube, and we have this recorded meeting with all of the twinning schools, so with all of these twinning countries, and so it's excellent.
I
Very
will
good.
send
Okay,
you, I
so
will send the link. Alta is also connecting now.
okay.
I'm not sure whether Orion will be on time. I would suggest that we start. We have the recording and I will brief him later.
Yes.
And I already told Amnon important announcement. I will also tell that to you, Elisabeta and Alta. I have come to the conclusion that it's for me no longer justified to stay in Albania.
No?
I find the risk coming too high. We've got a COVID case in our project.
I
I,
heard about that. Was it in your project? Because I thought it was the GIZ experts. But
okay, no,
actually,
no, she's not. She's she is our office assistant. She was diagnosed. She's okay. But then, of course, the ADF is down because both
yeah,
Miloti and Afni particularly is very ill,
really.
really very ill.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
now, our team I can also not touch because he's in isolation. So it's I will have to deal with everybody from Zoom, and then there's for me no reason to stay here. It's better to go
Um,
to back to the Netherlands and try to catch my COVID vaccination as soon as possible.
exactly.
Earlier the Netherlands than Albania, and I'm I don't know why, but I'm very pleased with that. I'm considered a top priority. So I will get on my first turn. Hopefully, I will already be back somewhere by the end of January. But at least
Yeah,
we can keep in touch by through Zoom conferences. And I also do not know what are the developments in Albania. My our estimate is also that the measures will be again will be stepped up. At least
Mhm.
what we feel there will be more restrictions coming up.
yeah, it looks like. I mean, they have to do something. Otherwise, it's going to get worse before it gets better. So
Yeah.
people are not going to change, obviously, but the government should do something else.
Yeah, I think it was tough. Are you in a lockdown situation now?
Not yet. I
Not
mean,
yet.
they have introduced some new restrictions, but it's not lockdown. And
Mhm.
it looks like they might move to that at least for a few
Yeah,
weeks.
it is a matter. The lockdown serves to control the epidemic and also to do some education. We went through a second lockdown in Israel, practically for almost 1 month over a holiday period. So it was not terrible in terms of the commerce, um, but it did deliver the message. So we came out of the second lockdown more restrained. It is picking up now. We have an R of 1.06 or something, but it is restrained and people are responding. So now you see, you see more reasonable behavior,
Right.
and they started to segregate the country. So there are red cities where there is a local lockdown, and other places are free. So So what you see is you see an adaptive behavior now,
Yeah.
according to the situation, which is apparently the right way to go, because when people are healthy and if they are careful, you can let them operate. On the other hand, if they're not, then you need to restrain. And it is very much a matter of culture and area. Like, for instance, with the Muslims, the culture of having weddings, big weddings in this period of year was very strong, so you could not stop it. So they were having very big weddings in spite of the pandemic and so forth. But now it is past that period, so there is training again. And we have the same with the very religious Jewish communities, the same with them. So it is adapting and changing, but things are a little bit more under control now. And they are starting to reopen schools. So they have children up to fourth grade or fifth grade now coming, starting, and maybe next week more. And then also graduating students at 12th grade, they go through the graduation exams. So that they have open. And in the middle school is still not open, but probably will open, in 1 week or 2 weeks. And the students are studying from home through Zoom, but it is of course terrible because it's been too long and the kids are really in the check. Yeah. I think we ought to say hello to Alota, which we didn't meet before. Welcome, Alota. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
It's a pleasure to meet you. And if you can please write down in the chat your email and your telephone number, so Ram will record it and we'll be able to communicate in the future. And we will send you all the information that we have. So I understand you just recently returned to work.
Yes, she has an internet connection. Yes, Olga was she's a new mom.
Congratulations!
Yes.
Boy, so.
Okay. Yes, congratulations. I forgot to tell you that last time. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, maybe it's good to make a little bit the round to introduce ourselves, because most of the people see them for the first time. I think maybe Amnon, if you start.
Okay, so my name is Amnon Ram, as you know, and I come from the high-tech business throughout my years. This is my retirement fund job, but we're dealing with education. I established HiTeach about 20 years ago, and the goal was to try and provide very modern education content based on current technologies. And we eventually developed STEM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math, on a variety of subjects, and one of which is water, which we do with the Rotary, because the Rotary International and Rotary in many places in the world focuses on water as a main crisis for the future. And we have an education program that is based on water, that teaches students the principles of sciences, physics, chemistry, biology, and so forth. Some even multidisciplinary in terms of history and economy and so forth. But it is all based on water, because water has been there forever and has been a very significant need of life. So technology was driven by water, and then of course science is behind it. So that is what we're doing. We've been doing it for 15 years in Israel with many schools. We had over 15,000 students go through the program, which evolved during the period. And that is what we started to share with other countries through the Rotary this year. And so this is a pilot with an opportunity to work with schools around the world. So this is lovely that we met Albania through the Haifa Rotary Club, and especially Herrie here, who is really an expert and has a heart for education as well. So together we're forming it. And Ram is our assistant in terms of the international program. And Ram, will you please introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Ram. I'm currently living in Haifa, Israel. I'm a PhD student. I'm in was my final stages of my PhD. Hopefully in a matter of a few weeks, I will be submitting my thesis. What I'm researching is basically numerical cognition and how the brain process numbers and what affects the way we process numbers in terms of typical learners and also learning disabled children. So it's from the cognitive science, you could say. That's what I've been doing in the past 5 or 6 years, my second degree, my master's degree, and my PhD. I'm also a tour guide in Israel in my free time, because I really love hiking and traveling and history and everything. I mean, I just love to learn. And I joined High Teach because I really love this domain of teaching, but teaching in very high level and really the things that mean something to give a sense of meaning to the children. And I think the company is doing that very well. And also me joining Amnon in this twinning program abroad, it's something that I enjoy it because for me it's really interesting to meet new people from abroad. So it's everything I like in one place, I can say.
And we like Ram. Okay.
Okay, let me tell me then a little bit about myself. Well, I'm a Dutchman, Herrie Heckman. I started to work in water in '79, and with a small exception in environment, I've been always dealing with water. I call myself as an utility expert, management expert. This is the first time I'm in Albania, and we are dealing with a small project dealing with strengthening of 7 utilities in rural water supply. I have been before in the neighborhood. I was project management of a project in Nablus, where we were dealing with industrial pollution and Tel Aviv, Haifa. I know, and I have been a Rotary member since '82 in Indonesia, ups and downs. I spent most of my professional career in Egypt, but the Egyptian times are not my time. The Rotary Club there started at 11 o'clock at night, and because they were all doctors, they could only join after their practical time. So that was not for me to have meetings at 11 o'clock and then start the next day again at 8 o'clock in the morning. But I got a request from the Rotary Club here in Tirana to look at the cooperation with Israel and this program. And then part of my investigations here in Albania, I came across Shuklb, who was doing more or less the same as was happening in this Rotary Hands Across the Water. My my conclusion is you should put these two together and you have a winning combination. And I'm very happy it is working like that. It's now the kickoff, and I'm really very eager to see it. And one of my experience in Rotary was that when you are dealing with young people, it results in it gives so much satisfaction and pleasure to see how these things are taking off. So it is also for me a very inspiring activity. The floor is yours, Elisabeta.
Okay, I'm really happy, I must say, before we start, that we made this connection, and that's thanks to Herrie. As you rightfully described him, I mean, Herrie is a very passionate, professionally passionate person, and you see that right away. So we've had a very good exchange on many things now, but I'm in particular happy that he brought our attention to this program, and it really complements the work that we have been doing in Shuklb for the last at least 10 years with our public outreach educational programs that target from third graders till university degree. So this program really fits nicely with the programs that we already have. It looks similar to one of our programs, but it actually expands on that. So it takes it to a different level. And I'm looking forward to take it from a pilot this year to a more consistent program, and to a program that reaches to many schools. Why not the whole country? I must say that I have come across a similar program. I think it was from Acon company, American company, if I'm not wrong. It was my university who was working with them to put together a STEM program for kids of similar age. And in that time, I thought, well, this is nice, we should get this, but I didn't make a move. So it somehow, life brought the same concept back to us through this program. Um, that's all more or less. I'm an engineer, water and environmental engineer by background. So it fits nicely even in that context and, with the mission that we have here at Shuklb. So Alota will actually be the person who will be directly in charge for implementing this program as the manager of programs. And Alota, if you can introduce yourself.
I'm environmental engineering. I finished on 2009, and I've started at Shuklb from 2009 till now on the position of program manager. So Beta told before that we have some programs starting with Friends of Water to the university programs, and this is the program will cover the high school students, and I think will be interesting program. I think that it's a good matching with our program.
Excellent.
If I may add just one more thing, for timekeeping, we have another call starting at 5 sharp. This time with the Worcester Polytech Institute in the USA, actually working on a different project there. The target gender issues in the water sector. So from Israel, we have to go to USA. Just to keep that in mind
Yes.
for our discussion.
Okay, so how much time do we have?
40 minutes, huh?
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Alota, thank you very much. I think this is good. And let me ask you, Alota, did you get to see any background material that we had, the presentation and the documents that did you get a chance to see those?
A little bit.
A little bit.
I sent the presentations you prepared, Amnon, and also the module on leak detection.
Okay, so we can go over it, but in order to be practical, let us first start maybe with the important stuff. You can you can write your telephone number in the chat as well, and then we will be able to also call you maybe one-on-one with Ram or myself and give you with a better connection over the phone, fill in and go over the presentation with you that we could also do. Okay, now this is your mobile phone.
Yeah.
Right, and so for Albania, this would be what?
Sorry.
Plus 355, huh?
355. Okay, very good. Okay, so I want to, unlike what we usually do and going through the whole thing, which we will do in a minute, I would like to start from the end, which is what is important, because the time is very short between here and the end of the school year, and we want to try and be effective. So I think our goal, our immediate goal in order to make the pilot effective, namely the experimentation with the program with Albania, to try it out, like we do with Romania in a very successful manner, is to identify 1 or 2 schools, and in every school, 1 or 2 or 3 teachers that may be interested. Now, this can take some time. It may be easier with you because you have connection with these schools. And of course, we want schools that have the ability to understand English. And if this is the case, if you can find 2 schools with interested teachers, we can then start to coach them, and that will take some time. It would require at least 1 or 2 meetings with the teachers before they can start to take action. We have a very established experience on how to do this now, having gone through it also with foreign countries. Now, the goal is for the schools, and this is very important for you to know when you approach the schools, and especially now in this under the COVID situation. The schools are under tremendous strain, very challenging, hard to manage. The teachers have a lot to cope with. Now they have to study how to work with Zoom and to teach the children how to work with Zoom, and it is not easy. So they're having a difficult time. When they have a difficult time, they're not always open to new ideas because they say, you know, we have it up to here with challenges and don't give us more challenges. So what we did in order to help on that, because this is the situation even in schools in Israel that we have been working with, let alone a new school in a new country, that will definitely be the initial reaction. What I want to tell you is that we made everything around this challenge. So we're making it very easy for the teachers. And here are a few things that we do. Number one, we do not ask them to teach any additional curriculum material or program. So it's not as if they have the Rotary Hands Across Water program and they have to dedicate more hours to a new program. We view it in a different manner. We say to the teachers, primarily to the science teachers, you are teaching sciences anyhow, mechanics, physics, biology, chemistry, whatever you teach at the middle school level. Tell us what you teach, and we will show you how we can help you teaching the same material so you do not extend the program, you don't need more hours through water. I'll give you an example. If you are teaching physics, Newton's law, and everybody in middle school is studying Newton's law, forces, reaction, motion, acceleration, you know, the very basic. So we tell them, we will give you an example on forces and pressure in water. So we are using the program as an example, as support material for what they have to do in the curricula. So we ease their concern. We tell them, don't worry. We don't expect you to teach more. We don't expect you to go out of your way. Tell us what is your plan, and we will make the program adaptive, and we provide a couple of examples on how to do it. This is number one. Very important that they understand that we are not a burden, we are rather a solution, because otherwise they do not have the bandwidth, they don't have the attention, they don't have the patience to deal with more. They have enough trouble as it is. So this is number one. Number two, we bring a lot of exciting material. For instance, we can take them on a virtual tour of a modern desalination facility or a modern wastewater treatment facility. So they can see how it is done in modern age, and they don't have to travel, they don't have to go overseas. We give them, the ability to make tours over the internet, using a cell phone, and they can look around. It's virtual reality, very exciting. Or they can even use goggles, goggles like this of virtual reality, and this is over YouTube, and they can easily do this, and this is very exciting for the children. So they may have goggles like this because they have it for the gaming. The children always have it for gaming, but when you use this, and this is they use this for a game, but they put this on, and we take them to a tour in a wastewater facility. So this is exciting for the students. So even if they are in a limited condition going through class through Zoom, we can still make it very, very exciting. So if there is an inspired teacher, then we provide them additional content that can be exciting for the children. And then, of course, the third thing is that we allow them, if they work on the program, to collaborate with schools in Israel. What do we mean by collaboration? We mean that they do work on their plan, on their agenda, teaching, for instance, chemistry. And if they teach chemistry, the electrolytes and salinity and the composition and salts and so forth. And so we give them the examples of how do you measure salinity in the seawater and what is the salinity of a desalinated water and how you go about desalination with reverse osmosis. And we show it to them going through a tour in a big facility. When you go to a big facility, there is a tremendous demand of energy. So it is how you use the energy and how you conserve on energy, which is done there. So they get a lot of experience on sciences by joining these visits. So this is really exciting. And when they go over it, they will study their situation in Albania. For instance, what is the wastewater situation? What is the leakage? The leakage prevention is a good example that you have the presentation from Herrie. Leakage of water in the world is a major problem. In urban cities around the world, urban living around the world, typical leakage could reach up to 20-30% at some places. So this means that a tremendous amount of water is lost. And there are many ways to avoid that. And so we tell them about that. And then they can look into the leakage and the situation in Albania, especially if they have connection with utilities. And since you do have connection with utilities, they can do a little research on the leakage of water, say in Tirana, talking to the utility. So they know what the situation is. There probably is leakage, and they can study the plans. Is there a plan to fix that? How much will it cost? And probably millions of euros to be invested in the infrastructure. And so they understand the situation and what is the potential, as Herrie says, in terms of planning. When will it stop and so forth? So they have a sense of the challenge and of the technologies that it will require and the funding. So they are taking a responsible look at it. And then they can produce a report, maybe a presentation, maybe one page of writing. They can do it in Albanian, and then they can bring in the English teacher to help them translate it to English. So it's a beautiful experience for the children. If they are capable, they know a little English, and the teachers are there, then they can use it as an exercise in English again. So we talk to the English teacher and we tell her, are you interested in translating material from English to Albanian or the other way around? And of course, she would most likely be interested because it's part of her curricula. And so the children will have the ability to have some work in English, which is relevant to their curricula, but also interesting on water. When they do that, they can send this report to a school in Israel that we will connect, a school that will work on a similar subject and so forth. And the school in Israel, of course, will send them their report on leakage in Israel or whatever the subject may be. And so here's what happened. They did a little study on a subject. Leakage has a lot to do with the pressure of water. So again, it relates to forces and to Newtonian physics. The rate at which water are going, it's the speed. So it's very much related to Newtonian calculation of the high school age. And they send their report, and then they get a similar report on a similar subject or a different subject from a school in Israel. They can study it. We establish a connection between the teachers that they can communicate with us in the beginning. And so then the children can exchange their impression of each other's work. So what we do by this entire process is we really establish involvement, studies that are relevant. We show them how to do experimentation that are relevant. I will give you an example in a minute. And they have a share of working together with children around the world. Now, Israel is very advanced in terms of its solution to water, so it could be interesting for them to learn some of these technologies. And the children in Israel, of course, will be very proud to show what they do and so forth. So we have a likelihood of a good connection between the children. So eventually, we may have 1 or 2 sessions where they actually interact over Zoom, because the children in Albania are expert in Zoom now, and the children in Israel are expert in Zoom now. And if we put them together, you know, it's like as if they traveled and they came around. Of course, it is not natural for either of them to communicate in English as a first alternative, but here there will be a chance. So it will be on a subject that they know. They prepared some material, they translated it, they know the student from the other side having communicated. We have the teachers communicating from before, and we are present, and you guys are present. So we have the likelihood of producing a nice and fruitful meeting. This is not going to be like a whole day, but we can spend a half an hour, maybe 2 sessions of a half an hour. You know, we can develop a process so it doesn't burden the curricula, and the teachers for English and physics and so forth in Albania doesn't have to spend the whole week on that, or the teacher in Hebrew, in Israel for that matter. So it is very lightweight in that respect, but the benefit can be tremendous. First of all, they learn a new subject, they practice their English, but moreover, they are excited. They are excited with the role that they are taking in understanding what the situation is. Now, going forward, this is even more interesting, because the situation around the world does require a lot of attention and investment in terms of the water. And so this way, we thought to bring the message to the children, we make them aware of the challenge with the hope that they will bring this message to their classmates, their schoolmates, other classes in the school, maybe to their parents at home, to their siblings, to their brothers and sisters and friends. And so if we do this, you know, 1 year is just a pilot, but if the following year we have 4 or 5 schools or what have you, and maybe go to also another city, and this starts to proliferate, and in say maybe 2 or 3 years we have 10 or 20 schools around Albania, or maybe more, and all of them are studying in the same manner, with schools in Israel, or maybe with other schools around the world as well, in Europe and Asia and what have you. All of a sudden, the children can resume responsibility for the situation. And before you know it, they graduate from high school and they are citizens, and they can have an impact. So in, say, something like maybe 5 years' time, we can start to have a major impact. Now, we're not only talking with Albania, of course, we're talking around the world. And with the support of the Rotary, this can easily be expanded around the world. And the Rotary has recognized that this is a very meaningful program. And so the president of Rotary International has encouraged us to try and do this. So this is really very interesting, because we have a small scale program for what to do in terms of studying physics and English tomorrow in the classroom, but we have a practical vision of how to take this to, say, 5 or 10 years from now and have a major impact, where in the way from here to making a major impact, we do not need a very huge investment of, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars. It is not all that expensive. True, if we want to do it around the world, we will need a few millions of dollars, but that is not a big challenge if you are considering, you know, 150 countries around the world with the Rotary support and with so many utilities. I mean, this could easily have, you know, 100, maybe 1,000 utilities supporting it, because it is very attractive. And so, therefore, we have a roadmap that sounds very reasonable. It is not like a dream, it's practical. Of course, we will have a lot of challenges, languages, interest that may show up, diversity. I'm not saying that this could be trivial next year, of course not. But we are also taking a very cautious path and a pilot experimentation, and we have been very successful in building a successful model. So when we started this out in Israel, it was also very small scale. And then we grew, and then we added the rotary and so forth. And every step like this required doing a pilot, learning and adapting. So we are quite experienced in adaptively growing with an open mind to the local needs. So therefore, it seems like a very reasonable roadmap to proceed. But in order to do that, I wanted to really emphasize this for you, so you come up with out of this meeting with some sort of a sense of urgency, because it is late, in this very critical role of selecting one or two schools and the teachers. Now, I want to add one other note to it. You can go over the presentation, and we can maybe spend another meeting going over the details of the program if we don't have time to do it now, or we can do it, only with Ola, or both Ola and Elisabeta, or of course if Herrie is available. So I'm not concerned about going over the presentation. You can go over it and we can do it together. But I wanted to emphasize that it is not trivial to approach the schools. And so therefore, what I would suggest is that you consider the schools that are good candidates in your mind, that can speak English, that has the right level. Maybe consult with Herrie while he's still there in selecting those schools, and just make the first contact. Tell them about the program, tell them about the vision, and ask them to join us in a meeting where we will present the program to you. We found out that because the teachers have a lot of reservation, and I can understand why, because of the complexity of the coronavirus and so forth, the first reaction may be a reaction of reservation. And in order to overcome this, you may need professional support with the ability to know how to respond. I'll give you an example. We address a lot of mathematics in the program. So if we have a mathematics teacher, because STEM, is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So if you have a math teacher who wants to know what we can do, we can dive into it and provide them an answer in terms of the mathematics having to do, say, for instance, with water pumping, displacement, the speed, the energy that goes into it, and so on. And it's all a matter of numbers. And we have a big Excel model that shows how to do this relative to ancient wells or to modern pumping. So if a mathematics teacher comes around, we can do that. We can talk to a history teacher, because water was always at the forefront of development of technology, from Roman aqueducts in the past to first baths and toilets in Rome, till modern age and wastewater treatment, and even treatment of well water that need to be filtered now because there is so much nitrate in the soil because of fertilizers. So in the history of development around water, there is a lot. And so, and it, by the way, very interesting, it is global. Aqueducts, Romans had aqueducts around the Middle East, around the Mediterranean. So there are 3,000 ancient aqueducts and water conduits around the Mediterranean that the Romans have built. And they tell us a wonderful story, by the way, about the climate, because the residue of sediments in those aqueducts tells you a lot about the climate. So even a history teacher can come in, but how a history teacher comes on board is very challenging to say. And so this is, if we are on board when you explain this to teachers, it may be easier to convince them. So what I'm offering to you, because this is short time now, is the assistance in recruiting those schools. And what you will need to do is find out, who are the critical, the most likely schools to be appealing to the program, and maybe talk to the teachers and find out if there's an interest, talk to the schoolmasters, and then if you have some interest, then let us know, and we can set another meeting whenever, in a week's time and so on. Then after we have this connection, our practice with other schools, other countries have been that we had a meet every month. So we had a meeting and we explained a concept to the teachers and we assigned them homework. For instance, after we spent describing the program, we sent them home and asked them, okay, go and find out what is it that you are teaching that may be interesting for you, that we can support. And then they come back and make a choice. Or we ask them to see, what kind of water utilities they connect with, which of course you can be very helpful because if it's in Tirana, then you know. And so this is very helpful if a water utility, a local water utility, is willing to join in and to provide maybe an expert lecture, maybe a movie, a clip that they will take, and maybe support them with some equipment and so forth. So if they have that, it's also very helpful. And so if we have a water utility and a school, we can talk to them about what they can do, maybe with a university. And so the next subject will be, what will they pick as a subject to study? So we give them some guidance. And if they have some ideas, we can then hear about the idea and respond to it and help them make this concrete. When we are at this stage, we are all set. If we can get to this stage within, say, a month, which is challenging because we have Christmas coming. But if we can do that in time before Christmas, then we are okay. I'm not concerned about the fact that they will start to teach or study before. They can start after Christmas. But if they grasp the idea and we find out the school and we know what they want to do, and we can send them home to Christmas with some homework in mind as to how to prepare, then in January, February, we can manage to do something and have them come out towards the end of the year in March with some basic product that we can then bind them with the school in Israel, that they will feel natural, that they have done some studies and they have something to show, and they will be proud and willing to join hands with the school in Israel. Yeah.
Sorry, no, I'm just looking at the time and we only have 15 minutes left.
Yeah, so this is what I wanted to tell you.
Thank you. Okay, I think it's very comprehensive. The impact is no different than what we've been doing for the past 10 years with kids, as I mentioned, from third graders to high school and then university. So that's very much in line with our other programs. The challenge of this program is double. It is a new program, not very different, but still it's a new program that we have to introduce. We don't know what we don't know yet, things that we cannot foresee. And it's done in a very unusual ever situation, okay, where everybody's mind is, people are getting a little bit, depressed. I didn't want to use that word, but it impacts everything that you do, right? The way you do your work, the way you behave with people. So thank you for sharing, those, the advice. And yes, we have to be very sensitive when we approach the teachers. Our challenge is, well, that's not too big of a challenge. We go to the Ministry of Education because we have an official relationship with the ministry, and through the ministry we go to schools because schools have to have that kind of chain of authority, and they have to get the news from the ministry. While the ministry can tell them to do something, then the rest of the work is on us. We have to do the convincing part. We have to do the motivation part. They really have to take ownership of this. Otherwise, we cannot do it for them. And that's going to be the most challenging part. And I can understand the teachers, to be in such a hard position. They already work with limited hours because students don't go to school full hours. So they are overloaded. And from that perspective, I would like to be as more, how to say, practical as possible in our implementation, and probably to cut some edges that are not, that don't hurt the program, but they still deliver. But it just makes it a little bit easier for the time being. For example, I cannot imagine asking 4 different students of a school to join the program. That cannot be done. Like a history.
Come
No.
again, please.
Yeah, like we cannot involve 4 different teachers in this program from one school. I would say the most is the, I don't know, the biology teacher and the physics, right, Olta?
Well, so you just said it. So if you have biology and physics, and then you also want to have English to translate it. So right there, you are with 3.
Yes and no. For the English, I'm not sure. I mean, how that's gonna work. It's gonna be a little bit too much to ask. I
No,
don't
but
know.
do you expect the biology and physics teacher to be capable of doing it in English?
That's what I would. That's what we would hope for.
So let's talk about this for a minute, Elisabeta. I understand the time is short. If they do it and they manage to do it in English, I imagine that has been our experience, that if you do this independently and you just tell the story to the English teacher, she would want to join. In other words, the idea is that you don't ask her to join and make it a burden. You tell her, we have a science program here that has English in it because it's done over internationally, and the children are speaking English and translating. Would you like to take a look and join? You know what happened in one school in Israel? We had the English teacher spearhead and manage the entire program because she was so excited.
Yes, we've had such cases also. Like we've had cases where they were very resistant. This is
Right,
extra work,
exactly.
and you know how it goes. In any case, we can try. I'm just saying this from a very pragmatic.
One other advice that shortly before we leave. I understand that you have to go through the ministry and all that, and this is formal, and this is also in Israel like this. But it doesn't have to be like this. What I mean is, yes, formally you go through the process, but if you have relationship with teachers and you do some exploratory work, and you know that you tell the ministry that we want to do it, but I know this school wants to do it, then they will go along. Because otherwise they have to force it, and it's the same thing for them.
No, that's the way we're taking anyways. I mean, relationships work everywhere.
So you have a lot of experience in that. So we are in good hands.
May I interfere just in the time pressure? I think in a way the scenario of the roadmap, whatever you may call it, corresponds a little bit also with the time schedule you proposed. In fact, I said if we are able to get our act together this year and we start to deliver next year, we are okay. Also, the different items which come up are all mentioned there. And I think what is important is that we find an agreement, let's say, on this roadmap. If certain elements are not correct, change it. There might be some other resources necessary. I already mentioned to our club, Elisabeta, Alota, that we are also talking for the out-of-pocket expenses for the schools. We have to find a small solution for that. I don't think it's a big issue, but we have to address it. It might be also that Rotary might be helpful in your discussions with the ministry, take it on a little bit on a higher level.
Let me show you, Harry, let me interrupt you here and show you something along this line. Here, this is a model based on Lego. These are all components of Lego pneumatic, and all these are all very small components. You can see my hand.
The meter?
This is very small. This is very small.
And how did you build it?
Now, I built this out of a kit of Lego components. So what it has here, it has a motor, it has a pump, and it has a meter, and it has a piston here. And let me show you what it does. This little thing is like an entire water pumping system. And so when I operate this, you can see that the pump is turning inside the thing, and it is turning, and there's water going into here in one direction or in the other direction, and you can see the piston going down. And if I'm turning this in this way, it is going up. And if I stop it, you can see the pressure going up. So this in itself, this little thing.
Where do we find that, Amnon?
This is a set of Lego that we can show you the components. This is a standard Lego. We built this, but we can show them how to build it. But this is what Herrie says. If they
Can we order those, Herrie? I mean, can we find some money to order those?
Yes,
okay,
no,
this is
that is an option, and I'm in it. And
you know, I think
You
teachers
might-
would
you might-
love to see that, you know,
Yeah.
because it would really help them.
that's right. That's right. So
Okay,
this
we
makes
have
it
to find
attractive.
things like this, exactly.
That's right. It makes it attractive. This is very affordable. I mean, this does cost money, but it's like, you know, maybe $500, $700. You know, it does cost money, but this is infrastructure that stays with the school
Exactly,
forever.
exactly.
And you
Yeah,
can
that-
build 1,000 things from it. You can build very interesting. So it's a whole physics lab. Now, this is supported with software that you can show the experiment on the screen. This is very, very advanced. So, and it is not simple to operate. You need a lot of engineering, which we did, so that you get this ready. And, you know, with a little help, you can make this very, very attractive for schools. If you have a good physics teacher, they would love it.
Those described as part of the materials, the presentations, like, can we identify which kind of, I'm
Sure,
calling
we
them-
will send you all the information, what
Okay.
kind of Lego it is, what
Please.
kit and the kit number,
Please.
and how to buy. This is all available on Amazon. Not a
Okay.
problem at all. This is, you know, of course, you don't buy it like this, you buy in
Sure.
component, but it's not a problem. We
But
can
I
send
think
you.
that, yeah, that would make it so much more exciting to teachers.
Right,
and
because
to
it's
kids
attractive.
also.
It's
Exactly.
attractive, and it is made by Lego, so you know it is safe and
Right.
usable. And there's a company that supports it. It's called Lego Education, Lego Mindstorm, and you can build robots from this and all. It's very broad in the nature. So,
Yeah.
Beautiful.
so I think, well, I think this is only an example, I think, Elisabeta. I think
Yeah.
Amnon has more tricks on his sleeve to whet the appetite of the teacher. Yeah?
I hope he can share the whole list with us. He won't hold back.
So I think what I would suggest, and that especially I think for Alota and for Nam, and I'm of Ram, sorry, I'm available. As I told you, I may be leaving the country, but I'm not leaving this world. And I'm on Skype and I'm on WhatsApp. So I will be involved and I will support you as much as I can. But I think it is important that we agree on the, let's say, on the roadmap. If there are certain items which have not been included in our plan, bring it up and to make sure that we can solve all these issues this month, to make sure that end by the end of this year we have the school teachers on board and they are motivated, enthusiastic, spending their Christmas holidays on preparing the program for the students.
yes, I think you set up the goal beautifully. This is exactly what we should do. I agree.
Yeah, and I think also for you, yes, the constraint is the World Water Day, because that is when the program in Israel stops. And if we want to have our Albanian students on board, we should do it like that. But also, I think we should also discuss with Amnon maybe at another opportunity. But you should also, of course, present yourself in Albania. It is not only in Israel. This is something, if I can imagine there's a contraption like that, you may reach the television journal. And we have, of course, our connections. We will make sure that they are on television, and it's
Yes.
something to be proud of.
No, absolutely. I want also our Ministry of Infrastructure to know about this because it's in the strategy, the water sector strategy, that they want to introduce programs, STEM programs, that build awareness on water issues. And I want to use this as a pilot, as one of those programs that we could possibly later expand and fulfill one of the points in the strategy, you know?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it fits, I mean, in a larger context, the water sector.
No.
Um,
And if you're
vision.
reaching a strategy, it will be easy also to find funding.
Yes, true.
That is also so I think the program of Rotary will at least last for another 3 more years, Amnon.
The program would last. We're not going to stop it independent. I think the Rotary will support it, but we will have other support. And I think we should be courageous and believe in what we do, because the Rotary is a wonderful platform to launch this, and it's a wonderful platform to continue the support, and that would last. Whether the Rotary in itself is the sole supplier of funding, I'm not sure. We may depend more on local funding, on utilities and industry and donors and so forth. But the Rotary will certainly be a major platform to launch and support the program. So we would certainly stay involved with the Rotary. The Rotary has changed the way it conducts global grants. So therefore, I'm not positive as to the funding that would continue to flow from the Rotary. But the Rotary will be a framework through which we will work for sure.
Yeah.
And the longer the Rotary wants to stay on board, the happier we are.
Yeah.
No, and we fully support that these programs should be supported by local businesses, local
Right,
money.
exactly. That's
And
the idea.
I think the Rotary can help us build that strategy and, gather those interested companies who can take this, for the next 5 or 10 years, because it's a great program, and I think we will get there. But having
Yeah, I
a first
think
support,
you're absolutely right, Elisabeta. And what the Rotary brings for us initially, just support and making the connection, like with people like Herrie and yourself, that's number one. And number two, it brings us a lot of credibility, because it is obvious that the Rotary will not get involved in a program that is shaky or
Sure.
is not solid so this is what you get from the Rotary, because we had a lot of reviews from the Rotary, a lot of professionals that came to see, met the Ministry of Education in Israel, met the water utilities. So they have dug into it before they gave it the stamp of approval. So you know that, and that's what comes with the Rotary, credibility.
and that's why they come to credible partners like Shuklb.
Right. We feel the same way.
We are running out of time. Maybe
Yes, actually, we're late.
I would only let me see now.
So,
For your own publicity, if you look now behind me, it's Shuklb calendar. I was
yes,
Shuklb
the one that you see here.
produces every year a calendar of drawings of school children who are in a competition.
Yeah,
Well, we had, when we launched the program, we had an overnight competition of drawings from all over the world, from India, from Poland, and so on. And I will send you we had a mosaic made of pictures from all over the world, from children, that we used to launch the program.
yeah, it's the best way
It's a
to get
very
there.
successful enterprise. I think we have made the connection, but we have not finished. I think it might be good to put the ball in the court of Alota and Ram. Please go through my ideas.
We will get back to you on that, Herrie. I mean, it looked very thorough, but we will get back to you on that, and we will start. We have already started actually, Alota, with the contact, so we will give you feedback on that. Okay.
Please,
You have to run.
I'm at least this week in the country. So,
Yeah, I will give you a call later just to ask about Agnes because you got me concerned.
yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you, Amnon.
Thank you
Ram.
very much. Thank you. It was a
Bye-bye.
pleasure.
Thank you. A pleasure
Bye-bye.
here as well. Bye-bye.
Harry, safe travel back home.
Yes, thank you very much. Take care, and I will send the recording.
Okay,
Take care. Thank you. Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.